Hey everybody, welcome to this Ocean Life podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peterson. Here in late August, I just want to say congratulations to all the paddlers who did the Catalina crossing. It's a kind of a legendary pro and paddleboard race that's been going on since the 1950s. A pretty burly race, 30 miles, 28? I guess I should know. It's like part of my roots. I haven't done it. On the bucket list, I always find some excuse late in the summer to stop paddling and, I don't know, shoot fish and do other things. But congrats to everybody who finished that epic, amazing adventure. So now, today, in episode 90, I speak with a friend and local hero of mine, Tyler Conroy. A guy here in Santa Cruz who's built a well-rounded ocean life for himself. Now, Tyler shares the stories of learning to surf as a young teen here in Santa Cruz and moving quickly into some of the heavier Northern California water rather than like the normal transition of boogie board to longboard, soft top on the way up. He kind of jumped on the short board and went right to the minigun and now to the big stuff. Tyler keeps going and he talks about his transition into surfing big waves. We hear of his first sessions at Mavericks, some of the local legends who coached him into these first waves, surfing Mavs with his group of close friends and wife, Savannah. Tyler talks about the lineup at Mavericks, how it's changed over the years, his own working jet ski rescue in big waves, and the perspective he gains on the waves from seeing it from that vantage point. Talks about his breath hold training, love for spearfishing, and progression on the foil, and the challenges that we face here of that sport here in cold, kelpy Santa Cruz. So a lot of perspective on the gear, just the lineup, etc., around foiling, and a big focus on Tyler's time up at Mavericks and just being a well-rounded guy of the water and a great member of the community. So hope everybody's getting out and enjoying the last sort of few days of summer before fall hits us, and minimizing plastic use, picking up trash, and I don't know, being cool with each other in the water. So thanks for being here. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And now let's get into the ocean life of Tyler Conroy. Foil session today on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's good. I brought a buddy of mine, Keegan, along to film. F1 wanted to get some content together, so
nice.
It was our first time meeting up. We're trying to put an edit together. And as soon as we got out of town, there's just so much fog. So the one spot that we wanted to go to, it was socked in, so we went a little farther south, and it was really fun. I'm not sure if you could really see me, but
You were out there ripping.
I was out there ripping, of course, yeah. And it was out for like an hour. It's like sheet glass.
Yeah.
2 foot.
Dude,
beautiful.
So what size board are you riding now?
The board I was on today is a 4.2. It's like 4.2, 20 by 2.5, I think. It's 26 liters.
Dude.
It's like the F1 Rocket.
Yeah,
it's like the standard one that they have.
Yeah.
So I ride their boards, and then I have a couple Freedom boards as well. I just I broke my 310. I broke the boxes out a couple times.
Really? By hitting kelp with the foil, or?
No, it's totally my fault. I had a ding in it, and I didn't fix it, and then the boxes came out. It's cool. I have a 4.0 coming soon. Chris sent me a picture of it the other day. It's gonna have the toe straps and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how are you like kind of figuring out like what you want out of these boards? Are you filtering that back to the shapers, or the shapers talking to a bunch of guys, making a board and asking you to try it, or is it kind of collaborative?
It's pretty collaborative. So the first board that I rode was actually a SUP. And I was super anti-foil when I saw it all coming out.
No way.
Yeah, and the F1 guys said that they had one for me to try, and I was over it because they look dangerous and it looks funny hopping around.
Yeah.
I was like over it. And they're like, dude, just come up. We have one here. Just try it out. And the only board that they had for me to ride was this SUP, and I don't know how to SUP.
Yeah, totally. You're like, okay, how's this going to work? Did you prone it then?
Yeah, but I proned it at Ocean Beach, right? And so it was like probably 6 foot.
Dude.
And I had no idea how the foil worked. I had no idea, So I like paddled out, I got caught inside and went out, and I got a few waves. I was pretty much just getting thrown around, I was going way too fast.
Oh, yeah.
And, it turns out like I buckled the board, like creased it all the way across, like totally messed it up. And like that was kind of my first go with the foil, but like I got up on foil just for like a small enough minute to like realize that this is the sickest thing ever.
Dude, it's so standard. Like you're just wondering what the hell you're doing, and all of a sudden
you actually stay up for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
3 seconds, and you maybe even do like a little pump, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah. You're like, the possibilities.
Yeah.
But
So when was that? I mean, because you were one of the early guys like into it here in Santa Cruz.
Kind of, yeah.
Who didn't fade out of it like a lot of guys are doing it.
Yeah.
And they faded out like we were kind of talking. But when was that? 2 years ago?
I think I got it December. I got it in September. Is that last year? No, it's
September. Must be
two
2 years
Septembers ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's 19, so 2017.
Yeah.
And because Zach and Vince had been doing it in Coleman,
Right.
and they like had it like all secret, you know.
Totally secret.
I didn't even know that they were all doing it, and yeah, as soon as I got up on it, I hit up Coleman, and I was like, dude, I need to learn how to do this.
I need this.
And so I got a board from him. Initially, it was like a 4.6. It was 3 inches thick, just this huge.
Yeah.
It felt small.
Yeah.
I was like, 4.6 is
Totally.
really small.
You're like, what? I can't ride this.
And then I figured out how to ride that board, and then I got a 310 from Vince. And I was like, because I saw everybody on Instagram, they had like the super small boards. So I was like,
yeah,
I'll get a 310 from Vince, and that thing was totally sick. And I ran over that with my car on accident.
Oh no.
And then the board that I had was a F1 kite board. It was like their pocket rocket or whatever.
Right.
And I think it was like 4.3, 1.5 inches thick.
Whoa.
And like 19 inches wide. It was like at 18.5 liters or something.
A food tray.
And it was totally sick. Like all you needed to do is go find some white water and start pumping around.
Good.
Yeah. And so I think like when I went down south last year, I went to San Clemente. We spent a week down there. I was with Billy Ackerman, and we just like put up on Instagram. We're like, hey, we have the whole F1 foil thing, all the boards, all the foils. Come down and ride them. And we met up with Corey Colapinto.
Yeah.
And he's like a shredder,
Right.
longboard shredder, and then he just kills it on the foil. And we were at the Dog Patch, which is like San O, like south, like right in front of the nuclear plant. And everybody had different boards, and that's where I met Chris Sayer, who has the Freedom foil boards.
Got it.
And so I got to try a couple of those, and he was super cool and hooked me up with one, and that's the 310 that I just broke that I love.
Dude.
And so yeah, I tried a bunch of different boards, and that's when I realized like he like kind of had the design.
Right. Dude, that's crazy, man. I mean, that's the cool thing about it too is the board, the writing of the thing is different than anything you've ever done.
Right.
At all. But then the shape of it, the design of it, it's also different than anything you've ever ridden and seen. You're just like tripping on these things. It's so neat to see. And when I was in Maui, I saw a few, I talked to a couple of guys, and it's like, we have our kind of, I guess, design principles here in California, maybe in Northern Cal and Southern Cal, and Maui, they're super thick and big old boxy things. It's just cool what guys are doing. Everybody's
like Kyle
ripping.
Maligro has those like big soap bar things.
Look like pieces of chewing gum, kind of this big old thing. But everybody's ripping.
Oh yeah, like the Kalama boards.
Yeah. It's just rad. I just love seeing this whole progression, and it's all just going a lot of different ways. You know? That's pretty rad. But one of the things we were talking about before, when you popped in, we were just chatting, was the adoption of foiling is interesting to see where it's being picked up. And like Hawaii, it's like, dude, not everybody's doing it, but it's a thing. And I talked to some guys in the lineup. They're like, some people are jumping out and they're running people over, and there's some issues, but now it's kind of self-selecting, like those guys are over here, we're here, and then like Southern Cal, there's a lot more areas, but here where we are, it's interesting as we were talking, because A, there's kelp, but B, it's like some little communities are just kind of reluctant to adopt newer stuff, maybe. I mean, what do you think?
Well, like it blew up in Hawaii, and like they're super cool with all of the ocean sports. Like if you're doing something in the ocean, you're killing it.
You can boogie board.
And you're super legit boogie boarders that are like excellent watermen and totally respected and everything. But here it seems like if you're not riding like a regular shortboard, that you're kind of like shunned or whatever, it's kind of even weird to paddle, people are like, what, why would you do that? It's a waste of time.
That's true, man.
But I think a lot of it has to do with like like the way that I felt about it was that it looks dangerous and it looks kind of kooky at first. Like, especially like when people are learning how to do it, you're like, oh, I want to stay super far away from you.
Yeah.
But a big part of it is that for me is that foil waves are terrible surfing waves.
Yeah.
You know, with the exception of Cal's, like that's a great longboard wave and it's an amazing foil wave. Sorry, anyone.
It's just a fact of life.
Yeah. But the thing is Cal's, when it's a good foil wave, is when all the sand is gone.
Yeah.
You have that little bit built up by the statue, and then it's not breaking.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a lump rolling through.
So if it's good for longboarding and all that sand is filled in, it's a bad foil wave. It's too steep.
Yeah.
And there's way too many people.
Right.
So I think like the foilers really need to be conscious of the people that are in the water, right? We need to share resources, you know? Santa Cruz is there's so many people. It's like you have to share resources on the road.
Everywhere.
If you're biking, like even mountain biking is blown up, you know? If you go riding on a Saturday, there's 50 people. It's
crazy.
You know? So if people are just like cognizant of it and like safe and wear a leash if there's any people around, then it shouldn't be an issue. But I know that I get heckled all the time by my buddies for foiling, you know?
Do you really still?
Oh, all the time, yeah. And it's totally fine, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the less people foiling, the better
That's
for
true.
me, you know? Because I foiled today by myself for an hour, and the waves were, like, sick for it, you know? It'd be great sometimes, because the wave is a little sharky, you know? Like, if somebody wanted to cruise, like, one person would be cool. But, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Like, we're super over supping here. I'm still haven't supped really. You know, I've done it like a round. But I want to start now because of the downwind stuff. I'm like, oh, now I have to learn how to stand up paddle so that I can stand up paddle foil. Yeah. Not in the lineup. Don't worry, guys. Like, I'm not gonna show up to Second Peak on my stand up paddle foil. And like most of the waves around Santa Cruz that are surfing waves have kelp, and you can't foil it anyways. Yeah. I've tried to foil the point probably 10 times. Yeah. I had a terrible time every time. I get super frustrated. Everybody's bummed. But there are waves that are good foil waves, and it's weird because I'll get like a hard time from whoever's out there surfing. It'll be like one or two people. I'll be super respectful. Yeah. And generally those people are not great surfers.
Right. They're just like barking just to bark.
Yeah, it's something new. And they assume because I'm on a foil that I'm not from here or something, you know? And so they're like, hey, like, what are you doing? It's like, I've been surfing here for like 15 years, man. Like I'm not in your way. I'm safe and everything. And usually those people kind of like apologize, like, oh, sorry.
Once
like,
they get it,
yeah,
you see that you know what's going on.
I thought that you're dangerous and a kook or whatever, you know? Which I might be, but whatever.
That's subjective, you know?
Yeah.
So you foil surfing, you know, and then there's more, as you mentioned, like the downwind foiling, which is, you know, on the horizon for you. But also, like, I saw kind of a secretive shot of you on Instagram underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, holding onto a tow rope. Looked like you were about to get towed and start doing that crazy thing out there. Like, talk about that.
Yeah, my buddy Nick and I went up, and he's got this sick little boat. It's like a carbon fiber bottom inflatable boat. It's super fast. And we went up and like poached wakes off of mostly ferries.
Right.
And it was funny, actually. That was hilarious. It took me a couple tries. Like the first couple I botched pretty hard. It was kind of a bummer because it's hard to catch them. You have to like intercept them. You know, you see them coming and you get all ready. You get to the spot, you jump off, grab the rope, and then you have to like go at the boats. So I think they're a little sketch on it because they're like, what are these guys doing? You know, we're in full suits with hoods. Going like straight at him, you know? And then he turns away and then you whip into the wake. And the ferries that we rode the most go from the Bay Bridge out to the Golden Gate, around like by Sausalito, around Angel Island, and then back to the Bay Bridge. So that's like a 45-minute circle, right?
Wow.
And you could ride the wake the entire time.
So you get on a wake, and you stay on it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, and it has 2 or 3 wakes, depending on the boat.
Right.
And so you can ride up the wake and then like do a cutback kind of, but get straight off and get into the next one.
No way.
Or you could like do a cutback, and if it looks like you're gonna like lose that wake, you just hop over the back and jump into the next one. But the first one that I actually got into, like one of the guys on the ship was super bummed on me. He's like, "Get away!"
No way. He's heckling you from the boat.
Yeah. He's like, "You need to get away," and I was like. But it's a foil, it's super quiet.
Yeah.
So I could hear everything he was saying. And so we were like having a conversation. I was like,
way.
"Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Am I breaking any laws?"
Yeah, am I like
and he's
on
like,
your wake?
Well, and he just kept telling me that I didn't go away. And so I just like did a couple cutbacks and I was like, "Is this far enough?"
Yeah.
And it was fun. Like all the people on the ferry pulled their phones out. They're like, "What's going on there?"
No way. So what was the longest one you had?
The longest one I had was maybe like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
But because you could stand there for 45 minutes or you could like, you start doing little turns and stuff and then I fall all the time.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Dude,
My buddy
rad,
Nick
though.
goes forever. Like when we go downwinding, he'll go for like 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a really good kiter and like a cyclocross guy. He's got legs that just go forever. He also weighs like 105 pounds, I think.
Really? Dude. See, that's the thing. Like, that's to me, wow, foil surfing's fun. It's rad. I mean, especially when you find our little spots here that are like little pockets of kind of mediocre to crappy waves and you're out there by yourself with somebody. It's just so rad. But the untapped resource is the open water and the wind and the bump that maybe you downwind paddle every now and then, maybe. That isn't even a fraction of the fun,
no.
I think, because I haven't done it yet,
yeah.
of the foiling, and so getting to that point. Now, what do you think about that wing?
Yeah, I just ordered one. I'm super excited to give it a shot.
Sick.
I heard it's kind of challenging. Like the guys that kite foil and stuff were able to pick it up pretty quick, I think, and they're doing huge airs. I don't know if you seen that.
Yeah, fully.
But it looks super fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you don't need a ski anymore. Like you could launch at Davenport and go
I'm down.
back to town or whatever,
I hit up Nico at Bay Area Kite Surf on the list. I'm like, I want one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude.
Yeah, it looks super fun.
That's what I meant. Like imagine like 2 or 3 guys in the middle, like 2 miles out.
Yeah.
And you can come back around. You don't need a shuttle if you want. You can, or just go out,
just tack
pump, and then come back. Like I'm sure it's not as sexy and cool as that sounds, but I think once you get to the point where you have that thing handled, I think it's going to be sick.
Yeah, I've seen a couple guys that are really good, like the Spencer brothers. They're super good at the wing foiling, and Titawan, he's like an F1 guy.
Right.
He did the Molokai foil race.
Right.
And then he was up in Hood River, and he was like doing the wing stuff. They're doing a bunch of wing stuff at the Hood this year. I'm gonna try to get there next year.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to get one of those.
I'm too, man. Yeah, good. Well, I'll be chasing you, and you'll be showing me how to do it, man. But yeah, it's like just tapping the wind, which is something we don't really do here. But anyway, shifting gears now. So we're talking about foiling, but before that, I mean, you've spent your life growing up surfing in Santa Cruz, doing Jr Lifeguards. Yeah. Well, that's right. So
kind of.
Rewind us back, man. I mean, talk about where you're from originally, how you got to Santa Cruz, and just sort of your evolution in the water here in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, totally. So I grew up in the foothills kind of until I was about 8. And I actually thought that I was going to be like a rodeo cowboy kind of guy, I rode sheep in the rodeo like when I was like 5, 6, 7.
Dude, badass.
I was going to like ride bulls and stuff. I was pretty amped on it.
That was the focus.
Yeah. And then my mom told us that we were going to move to Santa Cruz. I was super bummed.
You're like, what?
Yeah. We moved here in '98 during the El Nino year,
Yeah.
And dude, it was just storming the whole time. We got evacuated from our house a bunch of times.
No
I was like,
way.
dude, Santa Cruz is the worst.
Let's go back.
Let's go back to Calaveras County. And I actually didn't learn how to swim until I was 12.
No way.
Yeah, so we'd like go to the beach or whatever, and I'd like put my feet in, but I was like super over it, terrified of it.
Wow.
Like I didn't know how to swim, and like the only reason I learned how to swim really was because my dad died when I was like 11, and he didn't have a lot. He was like totally out of the picture or whatever, but he was a abalone diver, like commercial abalone diver. And so I got a little bit of money from him, like when he died or whatever. I was like, well, I should probably do something in the ocean with it, because like I had no connection with him. I like wanted to find something,
Right.
So I went and got a surfboard. I like went to Santa Cruz surf shop at the end of 41st, and I got one of those epoxy Santa Cruz knot boards. It was like a 6'4" red rail knot board, and my mom enrolled me in swim lessons at Simpkins.
No way.
Yeah, and so I was like, they were like, does he know how to swim? And she's like, no. So I'm standing like in the kiddie pool, like up to my waist, you know, and there's all these kids that are like up to their necks in the water. And they're like, keep your hand on the wall. And I'm like, dude, like it's at my knees, like, like bending over, you know?
No way.
But like as soon as I learned how to swim, I was like, oh, this is really sick. And we started swimming right away, like on the swim team. And but we were such kooks. Like my mom didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. We got the board and she's like, oh, wax. Like I used to ski, you have to wax the bottom, right? So I waxed my brand new 6'4", beautiful. I thought it was beautiful at the time. Just nose to tail on the bottom.
Perfect.
Just
perfect
beads
coat.
the whole way, you know? And I got so heckled, I brought it down to junior guards.
They're like,
dude, I got destroyed.
When was that? What year? It was 98 you moved here, so junior guards.
So that's like
2000.
That was probably 2000. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And yeah, it was pretty brutal. But I like surfed in high school and stuff, but I didn't surf a lot.
Yeah.
It was mostly water polo and swimming. I was super into water polo and swimming.
So strong in the water, you develop strength and skill just being in the water.
And my math teacher, Randy Garrett from PCS, my mom didn't want me surfing, really.
Yeah.
She's like, you can surf a little bit, but she saw the guys hanging out at the point, and she was like, that's probably a bad idea.
Yep.
And so she'd let me go surfing with Randy. And so we'd surf really early in the morning, and he's a great surfer. He's from Huntington originally, but he's like a tube hound. So he'd take me out to these spots that I had no business being at.
Really?
But I was a great swimmer, so I wasn't worried about it, you know? So we were surfing all the waves up north that like barrel and stuff. And so I couldn't do a cutback to save my life, but I could like bottom turn and
just get in.
Pull in, you know? I wasn't making many tubes, but yeah, he got me super psyched. He convinced me to buy like a 7.8 VC semi gun when I was like 14 or 15 and started surfing Middle Peak, you know?
Dude.
And so I didn't surf a lot, but whenever the waves were like big, I'd go surf. And so that was kind of my experience with surfing until I came back from New York in 2011. And then after college, that's like all I focused on. I was like, I'm going to learn how to do cutbacks.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do this now.
Yeah, I'm going to surf.
Dude, that like story is so different than the normal story kind of anywhere where it's like, well, yeah, I got a longboard and I got pushed in, or a boogie board, and then I got older and then a longboard, and then I kind of grabbed this old crappy short board, and like you swam really strongly, went out the guys like, dude, there we go.
Yeah.
We're at waterfalls or we're at Scott's or wherever, and it's heaving, and you just started right there, man.
Well, Steiny took me to the secret spot on a pretty regular basis. My mom was cool with me going with Steiny because I went to school with Paul. Whenever the sand was good at Cal's, we'd go longboard at Cal's.
So you had some longboard influence.
So we had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I definitely wasn't great at it, you know. See Paul, and he's just like
ballerinaing. So
he's breakdancing and stuff.
Yeah. So then you leave, you finish high school, strong on the water, go to New York, school, come back, and then what? I mean, your focus was really on the ocean lifestyle. I mean, was that accurate?
I mean, I was like a busboy a little bit, and then I started working at Billabong on the east side, and I was working at Aero Surf Shop, and that's like all I wanted to do was go surf, you know? So, and recreate.
Yeah. Yeah, have fun. Yeah.
But yeah, I got really into surfing, and that's pretty much all I did. You know?
So
I wasn't worried about I had no professional aspirations much, you know?
Yeah.
I was lifeguarding during the summers, and working at the surf shop in the winter.
But then you got kind of prodded into, like you said, a 7.8 kind of step-up board, and then you said, you know, you like the bigger stuff, you're comfortable out there. So at some point, you kind of followed that path. I mean, I remember seeing you. I'm trying to remember my first memories of you was based on the beach as a junior lifeguard instructor, then recognizing you and seeing at the lane. But you were, I mean, you ride a shortboard like a skateboard. Like you you rip. I mean, you're very dynamic.
Thank you.
You know, you're super fluid. You're just snapping. You're just really great. Then you're also, but that wasn't your thing. You're also like looking at bigger stuff too. I mean, so how did you did both, right? I mean, so I don't know, talk about that, because those are two different kind of disciplines.
Yeah, they're totally different. So I think a big reason that I got into surfing bigger waves was from Ride a Wave, which is interesting, right? But like Mike Gerhardt and John Bowling are at every single Ride a Wave camp. Right. They're just all about it. And they're also like OG, like sick Mavs guys, you know? And Mike and Johnny are like older brothers to me. Yep. And they were like, dude, you got to come up to the Mavs, bro. And like all this stuff, you know? But they were also like, you have to like start at the lane, and then we have a couple waves up north, you know, they get bigger and bigger. And there was like a day in particular where I like realized that I thought that I could like actually go surf Mavs. And it was during the 2010 Mavs contest, like the biggest year ever, you know? It was like the groundbreaking, like sickest contest ever. Right. And I surfed where we were going to foil today, and it was huge. Yeah. It was like 30, 40 foot.
That big, weird kelp bed that only breaks when it's gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was really good. Like, it was like there's tubes that were spinning. It was like the best I've ever seen it. Because I've surfed out there a lot. Like, I spent like every Mavs 12 for like 3 or 4 years. I surfed out there.
Really?
Yeah.
And, full misto break. Like, it only
super
pops
weird.
up when it's like...
Yeah. Super weird, but it's like, it has a really steep takeoff, and it has like all the stuff, and you can get smoked out there. Yeah. And so that really big day, I was surfing with Neil Cruz, who's a junior lifeguard instructor, and we were both on 7.6s, like way undergunned, you know? I was on that VC 7.8.
No way.
And thing's full elf shoe, and like probably like 17 inches wide or something, you know, just a whoop. Yeah. And I was waiting. Neil got smoked, and I thought that I was way in the channel, and I like stopped, and I was waiting for him. I'm looking for him, like, man, Neil's gone, dude. Like, I have no idea where he is. And I felt myself like getting pulled out, and I was like, oh no. I turned around, as the biggest wave I'd ever seen, you know, and it broke like 15 feet in front of me.
Where you didn't want it to.
And I got smoked, like full, like 2-wave hold down, like past,
like that,
like past the bay, like gone, you know.
No man's land.
No, yeah. And like, I honestly thought I was gonna die.
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing there, man. There's nothing.
No. And like underwater, I was like, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool. And then like at a point, I was like, you're not cool, man. Wow. And then like there's like you and Neil are those dumb kids that went out that big day and died. I was like,
what dipshits.
Yeah. And I was like reflecting. I was like, I lived a pretty good life, you know.
Really, it all went through your head.
Just the whole thing, you know. And then I came up, and I was fine, and got in and found Neil, and I was like, cool, right on. You know, I got to get a new board, because mine was a bunch of pieces, you know. But then I was like, I think I could do this.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
Yeah. So I bought a 10.0 from Mike, one of his super bright red boards, you know. Yeah. And yeah, I think the next swell at Mavs, I was up there.
So what was that like? I mean, that wave you mentioned that you just got beat down on is a pretty legit thing. I've never been out there. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. But contrast that, which was your biggest experience to date, with what you saw at Mavs. I mean, was it still a different kind of level?
Oh, yeah. The Mavs is like I've been like, there's like a few waves that are on that level, you know? And yeah, that was the first time. It was small Mavs. It was like barely breaking Mavs, because Johnny wanted me to like do it. He's like, we're going to go out. It's going to be small. It was like him and Christy. I don't know if you know who Christy Davis is.
I know the name.
Yeah, full legend. Yeah. And Grant Washburn. And that was it. It was like beautiful, glassy. And the way that I learned how to do stuff is the wrong way, always, you know? Right. And so, like with foiling and everything, you know, I have to like totally mess it up first. So we get out to Mavs, and I ride my first wave, and I'm like, cool, and I go to kick out, and my board slides out, and I'm like, what the heck? I flip it over. I'm riding with 2 fins as a thruster. I was like, man, like, had to do everything wrong, right? Yeah. But I was like, dude, I'm here. Like, I went out and I got like 3 or 4 more waves or whatever. And it was like small, like 10 foot,
Yeah.
like so like maybe 20 foot on the face, and but like it was on.
Yeah,
I
you
was
felt
like, this
it.
is sick.
Yeah.
I love this, and if there's just like a power that you feel there.
Yeah.
You get all weird on it, but it's like it's there.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a presence.
different.
Yeah,
Right. And so you carry that forward. I mean, so how many years has it been since that first day? 5, 6, or more?
That was in 2010. So
wow.
Yeah, this will be my 9th season.
Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went slow. I was like really afraid of getting hurt, and I took it really seriously. John and Mike have both been super hurt out there, and they really impressed upon me like earning your spot and like taking it slow, and we there weren't any vests, so. I mean, I was scared. There's some people that go out there for the first time. They're just like not scared, and they go and they get smoked, and they're like, "Oh, sweet, this is the best." I'm not that guy, I'm like sitting over on Lates Bowl for like a few years. I get a couple sleigh rides here and there, and I was working a shift with Savannah at the surf shop, and I was like, "Man, this is like the coolest girl I've ever known, ever. Like, she's the best."
Yeah,
and I need to hang out with her all the time,
Yeah.
And she was already like an established, like, sick big wave surfer. You know?
And you'd see her out there charging.
Yeah, and I'd known her since middle school, and so I was trying real hard to hang out with her on a pretty consistent basis.
Yeah,
and like part of that was like going surfing with her, and that meant like surfing OB when it was giant. Like that's if you like want to get prepared to go surf Mavs, like you have to go surf giant OB.
Right.
Like if Mavs is breaking, go surf OB instead, and then
as a warm up.
like if you're trying to get into it, because if you can do that, then you'll be fine.
Right.
That way
if you survive
so
it.
gnarly, and I would become friends with Pat too. So Pat and Savannah are like two of the gnarliest people from Santa Cruz since like Skin Dog and Flea and those guys, and so I was in with a good group,
right.
And
took it slow and cautious.
I took it slow. They were already going on huge ones, but I took it slow, and like because I was friends with Mike and John, and everybody was super cool to me. I had an easy entry in there,
But you did it the right way, and you put your time into, as you know, a place like that. It's not, nobody shows up out of nowhere and crushes it and gets the waves and is the guy. It just doesn't happen, right? But it doesn't that, I mean, what's your perspective though on the transition of the crowd at Mavs the past almost decade now, where a hint of a swell, people are flying in, hucking themselves off of ledges to get a shot. The lineup's different. It's probably more challenging for you who's got it dialed, because now there's boards and bodies in the way, which adds a whole other level of danger to the whole place. So how have you seen it change?
I mean, it's just there's just so many people,
People.
It's like I went and surfed lowers for the first time last year. It was really good, and I was sitting out there and I was like, this is what it feels like when Mavs is good.
Wow.
Like that's like the level of crowd, because it was like pumping Southswell.
Right.
But it's like everyone's on a 10-foot board, and it's probably like half of the crowd should be there.
Yeah.
And are like super legit, and like the locals at Mavericks are so nice compared to any other wave that I've been to, except for Nasri. Those guys are super nice, because if you're out there,
it's like
you're earning it.
Yeah, totally.
It's like it's totally luck of the draw to be in the right spot and everything. Like those guys are super cool and hospitable and everything. But if you go like anywhere else, like Porto, I haven't been to Jaws, but I've heard that it's not the easiest crowd to get into, And so people just like can show up and paddle deeper than everybody else and get a shot or whatever. And over the past like 5 years, I've gotten a lot more into the rescue stuff. I really enjoy doing rescue. I like to split my time from being on the ski and surfing. I think like your longevity in the session is longer. You can be drinking water and snacks and everything, and you can be watching like every day is different out there. Like it could be the same numbers, same wind and everything, but the swell is different. So it's breaking a different spot. So if you can watch that from the ski, then you can change your strategy.
Right.
And I think like Savannah was a huge influence on me, and she like told me all about like the way that she surfs out there, and she had a very specific strategy and the exact waves that she looked for, and she always wanted to be the very deepest. And that's not, if you look at shots and stuff, I'm not always the deepest guy. But I don't have the same like looking for the right wave. I have a completely different strategy. Like I'm more like I don't know, like a seagull or something, you know? Just like cruising around, getting whatever. Like I have a weird spot that I sit, which is like inside and like over a little bit. Yeah. So I can like paddle deep and get ones over there, or I can get shifters. More mobile, Yeah. And I ride like a thick board that paddles really good. Right. So like I think that like the more old school approach to Mavs is like you have a spot. Like there when I got there was like different camps. There's like the guys that sat way out the back and waited for the biggest wave, and the one that like shifted deep. And there's a sick entry, but you're like super committed. Like that's a gnarly spot to take off. And then there's the guys that sit super far inside and deepest, and that's like Pat and Savannah, like live there, you know? Like that's their spot. And that's a gnarly spot to be because you can get caught inside and all this stuff, and I'm not super into getting caught inside. Right. And then there's like the late bowl guys, but as the crowds have increased, it's less about the different camps because it's one sea of people,
massive stretch of people.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like you're reading the wave, but you're also reading the people, because it's usually the same people that come back. And so you know who's sitting where and what waves they're going to go on, which waves they're not going to go on. And, And so it's kind of like you're just like bringing it all in, you know? And at the end of the day, if you're the deepest, like you're just going to go like, you know, and I feel like I'm still super cautious out there. Yeah. But like I'll like choose the wave that I want, and then I go. Right. And hopefully there's not something behind me.
Yeah. But there's a lot of dimensions to it now. When you first went out, you first started, it was like the direction and like the current, there's some wind, and you're getting pushed around the bowl, understanding where the waves are. But now it's like all of that plus a crowd and plus specific guys in the crowd. Like, you know, this dude with that orange suit, you remember him, he does this thing or whatever. And so you got to factor that in as you whip around, add that into your like your processing of do I go or not, you know? Totally. So it's just a different deal.
Yeah. And there's like guys that have been surfing out there for a really long time, you know, and like kind of let those guys get the waves that they're going to go on.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like totally a respect thing that I like try to continue, you know, that isn't necessarily shared.
Right. It's not always reciprocal.
But
that's the nature of surfing.
But I mean, if you're going to be there every time that it breaks, you want to be friends with everybody, you know?
Dead on.
Because it's like, aside from anything else, it's like the most fun, like best thing that I could do, you know? It's like my favorite thing in the whole world.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
So
you're mentioning Savannah, who's your wife.
Yeah, that's right.
And future baby mama.
That's right.
Two for one.
Twofer.
So let's talk about this. So I was thinking about this, which is like the majority of people, except for the Gerhards and you guys, most people go out there and they're in solo mode. You have a buddy, but you're like you're kind of worried about yourself and you're looking out for each other. But you have like a connection. This is your wife. This is somebody you love who's also out there.
Yeah.
And you've seen her probably get smoked. And I mean, how does that? First of all, I mean, how do you? What kind of how do you deal with that when you see her getting drilled, and probably vice versa, you know? And then, because you also have to go into like self-preservation mode. I don't know, it's a huge set, and you got to scratch, maybe duck your board, and you know she's getting beat 50 yards that way. I mean, what is that like, man?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I do know because I do it.
That's not actually true.
You know, I like looked up to Savannah like growing up, you know, because she was like totally doing it, and I never thought that I was going to surf Mavs. I didn't think I was going to be a Mavericks surfer. It scared me. I was over it, and I was just like, wow, like she's incredible, you know, like she's an athlete. She does it right, and I've seen her get smoked, you know, so I like usually wasn't worried about it because she comes up and she paddles back out and she gets another one. Like the first session that I had with her. We weren't dating, we were just friends, but she took me up there, and I don't know if you saw the Surfline Greatest Wipeouts that she had.
No.
And so it was like was really small when we got there, but it was a rising swell, and she went on the biggest wave of the day. It was like proper 20-footer, and she got into it super late, kind of airdropped, stuck it, and then at the bottom like hit a chop and then went over the handlebars and just got smoked. Paddled back out, next wave, same thing.
Whipped.
Like totally smoked. And I was like, whoa, that was heavy, you know? It was my third time out there, I think. And she seemed fine, you know? She's like, wow, yeah, I kind of got beat a little bit, but whatever. Yeah. Like, we'll be up here tomorrow, you know?
And you're like, whoa.
And then like a week later, I was talking to her, and she doesn't remember the ride home. She was so concussed, you know?
Whoa, from 2 just
right
poundings.
And then our first time in Porto, we showed up, and the first day it was like huge Porto. Like 30-foot Porto. Not backs, but like 30-foot faces, huge. And I'd never been down there. I was like, there's no way I'm going out there. We're looking at it from the top of Dan's, and I'm like, there's not a single corner out there. And look at the whole beach.
Yeah, it's just a big...
Nothing, you know? And she's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. No. And I like walked down with her and watched her paddle out, and I was like, well, I hope nothing happens because I'm not going to be able to help you, you know? And she was fine, you know? So I guess like I was never worried about Savannah.
Got it, yeah.
Because she's dialed,
right?
You know?
Right.
Like if anybody could do it, it was her.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my mindset.
Yeah. That's got to be the right way to go because, I mean, there's so many distractions already being out there, like your own safety and the waves and everything. And then if you're worrying about her, I can't see how you could like worry about yourself and her. If you were too strung out on that, it would be, you couldn't be able to do it.
Well, and I don't know if you saw that really big wave that she got like 4 years ago, probably. It was like a big lumpy one.
Yeah,
huge.
I remember that.
And I was on the ski, and she had like just jumped off. She paddled out, and the thing just came straight to her. And I was usually sitting next to her in the lineup, but this time I was on the ski. And so she made the drop and everything, but she was pretty deep on it, and she got like mowed by the whitewater. And that was like probably the most scared that I like what I witnessed, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. And then she popped up, she's fine, she paddled out, you know? Jeez, it's like no big deal. But that, and there was another crazy time actually. It was the first swell of the year, and her and Pat and I were all sitting in the same spot, and the set came, and we were all pretty deep. And so Pat's her brother, and my brother-in-law, and one of my very best friends.
Yeah.
And so we like split, right? Pat paddled like towards the shoulder kind of. I paddled straight out as fast as I could.
With
and
haste.
Savannah tried to escape on the left.
Oh my God.
So I made it over the top. Pat flipped it and went right. And then Savannah got caught on the left and sucked over backwards. And I knew that Pat went right because I saw him turn and go. I was like, okay, Pat's fine. And then I like didn't see Savannah, and there's another wave. So I'm like paddling. I'm looking for Savannah. She's not there. I paddle over the next one. Paddle, looking for Savannah. Paddle over the next one. I was like, what's going on? And then after the set, I see her pop up like 100 yards north.
Whoa.
Super weird.
Yeah.
So she had like a 3-wave hold down. She went over, 2 more waves came over, and then she popped up in blue water.
And the current just pushed her out.
Pushed her north.
That's gnarly.
Super weird. And but that totally that messed me up like mentally. I was like, I don't want any more waves. I'm done. And it like messed me up for like half the season. I was like, I don't want a 3-wave hold down. I don't want it. I was like, I don't know. And Savannah got 3 more waves that session. You know what I mean?
Dude.
So it took me out of the game, but she was fine.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's got to be, it's like a genetic thing, you know? I mean, I don't know, I'm guessing, like some people, their aversion to fear or things like that, it's not a huge deal. Like for me anyway, my 2 days out there, I was crapping in my pants on the shoulder, and like after that, and then being out there and seeing like, actually might have been the 2010 contest, I was boat shepherd for a bunch of guys like Healy and Worm and other guys, and some people come back like white knuckled, like guys who are laughing and joking, press to the bottom, and like, so I'm like, I'm good. But other people, and maybe it's Savannah, maybe it's Pat and others who just like, they don't have that aversion to that for whatever reason. You know, it's different. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I totally think that's something that you like just have inside of you. Yeah. Like, I live with Savannah. I get to see her apply that to everything. Right. You know, like in nursing school, she did like a 1-year bachelor program. so she got her bachelor's in 1 year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like
yeah.
this like level of focus, and like Pat has the same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And like
it's interesting.
they're like ninjas. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's right. Full like Zen Buddhists, just monks, just like I don't know what, man. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, I try to get it, through osmosis.
Yeah.
I grab onto them and stuff. I'm trying to get some.
How's it working?
I don't have it yet.
So now, speaking of Pat, it's funny, he called today because we've been playing tag to get him on a podcast, right? And he called, I was actually sitting there about to text you some questions, and Pat called. I'm like, oh, dude, while I got you here, I need some dirt on Tyler, and he's such a wonderful guy, he didn't throw any dirt. But he goes, and speaking of the skis, there's a story from this December, this big winter, there's a couple big days, and the rest is kind of just a, no-show swell. But there's a story of you getting out early on your ski team before anybody else, before really checking and even seeing what was going on, and just basically whipping into the first thing that came that ended up being something massive. Yeah, I mean, tell that story. Because I remember seeing that picture. It was like, one, I was like, is that even Mavericks?
Yeah.
It just looked like a different, and then I'm like, is that, I was like, holy shit, that thing's huge. So did you tell us that one?
Yeah, that was cool, man. That swell was so hyped, you know?
It was like the swell of the decade. I mean, it was all
that stuff. So this story starts in Portugal the year before. And I spent a month in Portugal, and Portugal's an insane place. Love that place. And I was out at Nazaré one day, and it was really big, and I didn't have a board. And everyone was goofy foot. I couldn't find a regular foot setup. And it was 60, 70 foot in the morning, and dropped down to 50 feet in the afternoon, and tow teams, and I was just doing water safety. And I was like, man, I'm here at Nazaré, and I missed my opportunity because I didn't have a board, So I came home and I ordered a board, and I went to Stretch because he makes the best tow boards, right? And I put up on the Instagram that I got tow board, and I was getting heckled by all kinds of people.
Right.
We're gonna use that thing in '98, or and I was like, no, dude, I'm gonna use that thing at Mavs, And then that swell popped up, and I was like, yes,
here we go.
This is what I've been waiting for, And I was totally visualizing getting the biggest wave of my life.
You were
day. Like the whole week coming up, I was like, we had a safety meeting the day before, and everyone agreed that we were going to tow in the morning. And I'd towed twice before, zero towing, but it was so fun both times. I was like, oh, I love this, It's like foiling, it's so much fun that it should be illegal. That's what it is. It's too much fun. And so we all agreed that we were going to tow, and I met Tom Merrick that day, and so he's a super legit water safety guy.
Right.
He's like, I'm looking for a partner tomorrow. We linked up, and we got out there, and it was still not light out, the sun hadn't come up, it was that blue light kind of.
Yeah, just kind of sort of can see, you're not sure.
How big is it? I don't know. And I was like, Tom, I'd kind of like to get a small one to start off, I've never ridden this board.
He's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then the set, we see the set coming 3 minutes out.
Yeah.
And he's like,
really?
He's like, there's a set coming. You just want to go get one? I was like, yeah, I mean,
sure.
We're here, there's one other team out, and I don't know what they were doing. And so he we're like, I don't know where the lineups are. He's like, I used to do this a lot, but I think that this is the spot, just I grabbed the rope and let go. And I was going really fast, and I thought that I was on the shoulder, just because when you're paddling, it's just so steep as soon as you take off, and you see the wave coming at you. So you're in so early on a tow board, and I was going you're going 35, 40 miles an hour already.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, dude, I'm on the shoulder. And by the time that I realized that I was behind the bowl, it was too late to bottom turn, And I pretty much got smoked. And that was definitely the biggest wave I've ever gotten. It's probably the biggest wave I've ever seen at Mavericks.
So what came through your head when you realized where you were? Were you just like, oh my God, this is not how I planned to start the day?
My realization was that I didn't know how to get out of my straps.
Yeah, because you wanted to eject and like
Because I was like,
not like snap your feet off.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
You get feet around.
And I'd never come out of straps before. So I was like sitting there, I was like, I think I just jump up and kick the board out.
Dude.
So that's what I did, you know? And I got hit really hard, like really, really hard. But I wasn't under for that long, I don't think.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
I was like waiting to pull my vest, and I came out. you know?
Wow.
So it was like super violent, and sometimes the anticipation of how bad you're going to get beat is worse than the actual beating.
Yeah.
Especially for me, because I'm so afraid.
Right. It's just a good way to be, you know? You're pleasantly
It's gonna be
surprised.
so bad.
Yeah, when it's only one way fall down versus
Yeah.
two, you're pleasantly surprised. So then you pop back up, you went out and got some then.
Pop back up. Tom picked me up. I didn't take any more waves on the head. Took a long time to find my board. I realized the dark purple is a bad color to find. And then I got like 7-8 more waves. And
Yeah.
it was super fun. It was a totally different game when you're not paddle battling, but battling with skis.
Right.
That was intense.
Really? Was it really?
Like Jeff is such an incredible driver. Jeff Clark, like he was Kyle Linney's driver.
Right.
And it was hard to compete with those
Right.
guys.
He just had it.
Yeah.
All the good ones.
Yeah.
He was already on it. He was already coming at it. He's like 2 miles at sea. Yeah.
So
And then it got corrupt. There's a lot of tow teams too, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody was in town because maybe the contest was going to go and it was too big, and then some people were towing. It sounded like, and just stuff I saw, which is not much. There was just an insane amount of surfing. A lot of sick stuff was going on.
Oh yeah. Well, so we knew that there was going to be waves for 5 days. Like Mavs was going to break 5 days straight. There's 3 swells, and so everyone came. It was supposed to be huge the first day, and then like incrementally smaller, and that's what happened. And so it was like huge, stormy. They got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner.
Yeah.
And then the Wednesday night was like that insane offshore day. Where it was just like
Perfect.
pretty much the best Mavericks ever. Like 40-foot offshore, perfect.
Wow, man.
But yeah, that was definitely a crazy experience. I can't wait to go tow it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude. Now, did you competed in the Nell Scott?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, so I got invited this year, but I was in the fire academy, so I was unable to make it up.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And that's a paddle.
It's a paddle event.
Right.
This year, it was kind of like, what is it called? Like a expression session, like an all-day thing, and then everybody got together and voted on who did the best.
Yeah. That's a cool format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I didn't make it up. It looked like they had fun waves.
Yeah.
I love Nell Scott. That's a super cool spot, and all the people that I met up there are cool.
Yeah.
And there's the beach break. There's the 2 reefs.
Right. A lot
A couple
happening.
other waves.
Yeah. Oregon's pretty sick, man.
Oregon's
It
insane.
really is. So, I mean, talking about like being able to handle a massive beating, it ties into A, just your physical shape, right? B, your mental ability just to kind of keep yourself calm, but also then like the apnea part, the breath part. At some point, doesn't matter how zen you are, you gotta get a breath, right? And you've done some stuff. I mean, you did the PFI, the performance freediving. What's the I, international?
International, yeah.
Yeah. And then you're out here, you're spearfishing, diving too. I mean, so kind of talk about that. Was that just the idea of being underwater, spearfishing or freediving, just another fun thing originally, or was it part of like preparing yourself to be more confident in the big stuff up there?
I always wanted to spearfish.
Yeah.
It looks cool and get
Yeah,
food for free, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the best thing ever, and you get a good workout. But the Central Fire put on a free dive course for
cool.
the fire departments here, and I was working for Santa Cruz City as a lifeguard at the time, and so they put me through the course.
Oh, that's rad.
And so I had that opportunity, and it was a 3-day, all-day course.
Yeah.
And that course is super incredible. Probably the best class I've ever taken.
Yep.
There's 22 people in the class, It was all, like for the most part, it was like all firefighters, a couple lifeguards, and I think everyone but one person had a 4-minute breath hold the first day, just based on like what they
just thinking
they told us,
right.
And just like teach us about the physiology and all that stuff, and then the breathe up stuff. And then by the end of the course, we did like our max breath holds and everything, and it was just like really incredible to see what your body's capable of.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one thing to like go out and be like, I'm in good shape. I've gotten super worked before. I have no idea how long my brain like will keep me awake without air, you know? But I think I'm probably going to be good, to like knowing like this is the number that I get to. And so half of that number should be my working time.
Right.
And then when you start free diving, you know, like your working time underwater, like that's way more than you're ever going to get held down.
Oh, fully.
Right?
It totally is so true.
So you have way more of a breathe up. So even if you half your working time, that's like 4 waves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's funny.
So
yeah, when you put it in that perspective, and like, you know, I live out my big wave fantasies at like the middle peak, you know, and like getting smoked by a decent one. You're under there, you're just like, once you realize, you're like, dude, this is gonna be like 12 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
And then you realize, you know, I've been diving the same spot, almost probably exactly 30 feet below me for probably a good minute and a half. You know, like
that hole was empty a week ago.
Yeah, you know, so it's funny, like when you put it in perspective, your whole confidence level just changes, you know, and I'm sure that's got to be a big confidence booster, you know, in 30, 40, 50 foot surf. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think that like the mental part of big wave surfing is way more than the physical part, you know?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people walking around Santa Cruz that are in way better shape than like half of the best big wave surfers in the world, you know? Those guys just do it all the time.
Yep.
They're super confident and they know that they're going to be all right for the most part, you know?
Right.
Since the vest has come along, we haven't lost a single person.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. How about that technology? I mean, is it changing much, or is it does it need to, since you've been using it?
I mean, I got the Patagonia vest 3 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago. And before that, I had like the Billabong, like the turtle back one, which was pretty funny. But I mean, it works good, you know?
Yeah.
You still get totally lit.
Right.
Savannah had a 3-wave hold down inflated.
No way.
Yeah. So, like not using that as like your plan A is important. Like you have to know that like that is a mechanism that can fail.
Right.
You know, the bladder could pop, your CO2 cartridge could fail, the pole could fail, like everything could fail.
Yeah.
So they're super nice to have.
Right.
And like when you get to the very bottom of the whitewater, you know that if you pull that thing, you're going to come right up because it like recycles, you know, and it's going to give you longevity through your session, you know, because your hold downs are usually shorter. But a lot of people just like, I think, feel like it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
And they've failed a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You hear that.
It's great technology and it's clearly working, you know, because people are going pretty much way harder than they ever have before. And we haven't lost anybody.
Yeah.
But it's definitely dangerous, you know?
Yeah, it's
like,
not a substitute for preparation mentally, physically, and all that. Yeah, I get you, man. Yeah, it's true. It is cool that they're out there. I mean, it's just, you know, it probably helps the level of surfing. It's pushed it probably higher than it would have been otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, you know. But so now, to tie to all of this, man, I mean, as we mentioned before, your wonderful wife, Savannah, is also your baby mama. You guys are having a baby.
We are.
What, 2 months?
Yep, November 11th.
Oh, 11. So, and you're having a boy?
We are.
Oh, man. Congrats on that, dude. So you guys stoked or what?
So stoked. Yeah. Priorities shifted immediately.
Pretty quick, huh?
Immediately. As soon as she told me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're super excited.
That's rad, man.
Yeah.
That's rad. So, I mean, what do you expect? So, I mean, like, you guys are both, you're surfing a bunch, you're super active, you're up at Mavericks a lot. I mean, do you see that changing, you know, in a year from now? 8-10-month-old,
right?
You know, I mean, have you talked about that, or you just kind of let it evolve and see what feels right?
Yeah, I mean,
all that stuff.
I've had like years at Mavs that I'm not feeling it, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just sessions, sometimes it's like extended periods of time or whatever. And I'm pretty good about being like, I'm not feeling it, dude. Like, you know, like it's a little shot to the ego or whatever, because I feel like I can totally do it, you know. And then sometimes they're like the first session that we had this year was not big,
right?
And I was off it.
Really?
You know? I was like, dude, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make a wave.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to increase with a kid or not, you know?
Right.
I know that like in the middle of a hold down, that's probably going to,
Totally.
I'm going to be thinking about
Yeah.
different stuff than I was before, you know?
Right, man.
And, you know, with foiling and all the things that we have around here, there's plenty to do.
Yep.
And so I'm not worried about it, you know? It's like, that's not the only thing that we have. We
Yeah.
have so much.
Yeah.
So, like, that little dude's got to be the most important.
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah,
I'll
for
probably
sure.
just keep doing it so that, you know, when he's like 18,
Yeah.
I can do it with him.
Oh yeah, man. No, it's true. It's funny. It's like the funny thing is, like two things. One is, you know, your priorities just shift in a major way, which is good. Things actually simplify as much as as challenging as it is to raise kids. It actually simplifies a lot because it's pretty simple for you to decide what your priorities are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always the stuff you want to do because you're changing diapers and like whatever. But then the other side too is, and you're a young dude and you'll be in great shape, say with Savannah, when your kids in their teens, like you'll be able to be have fun with them.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like, that's sick. That was always my plan too, being kind of a young dad, and I had a young dad, and being able to go and like maybe inspire, you know, when they're coming up, but more than that, just like have some fun together.
Yeah.
You know, like I could see you guys all over that. You know? That's gonna be sick.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe we'll just stop surfing. Like if he doesn't like surfing, you know, we're just gonna try to like foster whatever it is that he's drawn to. You know,
Yeah.
Hopefully it's stuff that we like to do too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I like
rad.
surfing a lot, so I probably won't stop.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, Tyler, dude, this is sick. And it's funny how fast an hour goes. And I say this probably every time I talk to somebody because there's always so many more stories I'd love to hear. But thank you for sharing with us today, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and before we wrap, also thank you for, and there's also an aspect, I guess I shouldn't wrap so quick, of like, we mentioned Ride a Wave, you've been a junior guard instructor. There's an element to you in your life of giving back, you know, which is rad, you know, and you'll be that mentor to your kid, and you've been a mentor to kids in the water, but also like the 24-hour paddle, like we did that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What's it, 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I missed it this year.
Yeah, doing, you know, the 24-hour relay for cancer and everything, you know, so anyway, thanks for being involved. I have this conversation a lot with people where I'm going to say it, even though people might be sick of hearing me say it, but I think it's really cool and almost an obligation for all of us to give back in some small or big way, you know, and the things you've done is just, it's rad, you know, and so anyway, man, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that, I think that like giving back, I think is like a misnomer because you get so much more
you totally
back than you're giving, you know what I mean?
Dead on, man.
So
I know. It's
I
so
think
true.
if people aren't giving back, they're like totally selling themselves short. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like some of the very best experiences, like better than your sickest waves at Mavs or like shooting a huge fish or something, is like when you hear like kids experience things for the first time or whatever, like it's so much better.
Dude.
So
100%.
I don't feel like I'm like giving anything, you know. It's more like I'm taking.
Right.
You know.
But you can't say that.
It's selfish. It's totally selfish. But I mean, I appreciate all the stuff that you guys do in the 24-hour paddle and the Ghost Riders and everything.
Yeah, man. It's fun stuff. It's good stuff. Right on, man. Well, dude, thank you. Good luck with, dude, the next rad big chapter in life, dude. I mean, it's a fun one. So, man, you guys, I'll be nearby in town and seeing you and everything, man. Seeing your little Grom out there.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to ship paddle boards over to Molokai.
Yeah, man. All right, bud. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to another podcast episode. Can't do it without you. And so thrilled to have you here supporting myself and the podcast and all the guests continually. Always appreciate a positive rating on your podcast app, whether it be Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. Just helps grow the podcast and spread awareness. So thanks for that. And then any social media mentions, always super appreciative. And if you know somebody who you think would be great to have on the podcast to share about their ocean life, please hit me up. I'd love to chat with them. Or if you think you'd like to, let me know. Email is josh@thisoceanlife.tv. All right. Thanks, guys.